Hello and welcome. My name is Doug Heath and this is Stars and Bars Power Sports. Now if you're with us on the last episode, you saw the start of the 250R project and the assembly on this rolling chassis. If not, be sure to go back and check that out. But today we're going to keep that project going and start tearing into the engine. So let's head over to the bench and check it out. So here's the future heart for the 250R. The only problem is that it doesn't have a pulse at the moment. So we're going to do our best to try and shock some new life back into this thing and actually make it better than new. This is pretty much how I received all these parts, and they're kind of nasty right now, but it's all going to get a vapor blast treatment and some fresh Cerakote, and it's going to be looking great by the time we're done. The bottom end I got for 600 bucks, and I can't tell the exact year on it because it doesn't have a serial number tag, which could have been removed, but it doesn't really look like there's any scoring from prying or anything, which leads me to believe that at least the left side case is a replacement. But underneath all this dirt, it does look like there's some gray paint, which came on the 86, 87 models, and it has the longer rod crankshaft. So my best guess is that it's an 87 bottom end, but without the tag, it's hard to tell for sure. I got a pretty decent deal on it. But as far as I know, the crank bearings are out, which is okay because I planned on replacing all the bearings anyways. And there is some typical chain whack damage to the case saver mounts, which I plan on having fixed. I know there's a couple magicians out there that can make it look like that never even happened. And it doesn't have a clutch in it, which isn't the worst, but it's something that wasn't made clear in the ad, so it's just one of those frustrating things that you have to deal with when you buy stuff online. The cylinder, I know for sure, is an 87 because of the stamp on the bottom of the sleeve. And it does have some port work, so I'm pretty interested to see how it's going to perform. Some of the porting is easy to see in the intake and transfer ports, but I'm not really sure if the actual port heights have been changed, which is really where the performance is affected the most on these cylinders. The head I got in a part slot with a bunch of spare engine parts, and I had trouble finding information on these, but as far as I can tell, judging by the shape of the combustion chamber and the HB9 markings, it's an 88-89 head, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's in alright shape. There's a few small dings in the combustion chamber, probably from a bearing that had come apart at some point. So I'm not even really sure if I'm going to use that or if I'm going to try to find a Pro Design or Mod Quad cool head. But I've got all my tools laid out here that I think I'm going to need, as well as my manual just in case I get stuck. Then I've got a blanket laid out so that I can organize all the parts as they come off the engine, which is going to help a ton when it comes to inspection, as well as when we start to put things back together. I did take the stator cover and clutch cover off when I first got the bottom end, but I have no idea what it's going to look like inside the cases, and there's only one way to find out, so I'm going to get after it.
I'll sing about it all someday.
right, so now that I've got this thing in pieces, I'm going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and look for any damage. It all looks pretty good at first glance, aside from being really dirty. I did notice a broken bolt in the counterbalancer bearing holder, and the ignition is pretty crusty, so we'll have to see if that'll clean up to be usable. But I am going to measure everything out, make sure it's all in spec. Anything past the wear limit is going to have to get replaced. Then I'm going to pull all the bearings from the cases, and all of this stuff is getting vapor blasted, which I actually picked up a micro vapor hone so I can do it all myself, and that thing is awesome. I did a set of brake calipers for a buddy, and his wife was convinced that he bought new ones. It really makes the parts look great. Then I've also got a few other things to throw in there, like the carburetor, the throttle, all the brakes, pretty much anything that's not on the quad already that's aluminum. But it is going to take me quite a while to do all that, and it's not super interesting. So I'll take a few shots of the process so you guys can see it, but I won't bore you with it for too long. And then I'll bring you back at the end so you guys can see the finished product after vapor blasting. What a transformation. It's hard to believe these are even the same parts. They look so good. It was quite a long process though, and my only complaint about the Vapor Blaster is that I wish I would have gotten a bigger one. It works awesome for the smaller parts, but the cases were kind of tricky. And it doesn't do very well with paint because the media is so fine, which is why I used a paint remover first, which really helped. But now I'm going to be sending most of these parts out for some Cerakote, which is almost a shame to do because they look so good like this. But they're going to come back looking even better with coating of black and burnt bronze, which is a color that I really like. I'm going to actually be going with burnt bronze on the engine cases with the clutch and stator covers black. I think it's going to look really great and be a nice accent color because we do have a lot of black going on. But I just hope it doesn't turn out to be too much, and hopefully I'll be able to get the damage on that case repaired beforehand also. As far as the internal parts go, everything measured out to be within spec except for one shift fork that was worn a little funny, so I'm going to get that replaced. The crank and counterbalancer are going to be getting rebuilt, and the rest of the parts I'll get cleaned up and put into Ziploc bags and wait for reassembly. The ignition should be okay too. That cleaned up pretty decent, but I'll definitely test it out once we get everything back together. The bad news is that I found a crack in the cylinder sleeve on the intake port bridge, which I can't believe I didn't see before because I looked it over pretty good when I got it. So I'm kind of mad about that, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. I could try to have this cylinder re-sleeved, but I think that's going to be more hassle than it's worth. I do have another unported cylinder that I picked up for cheap, and I really only got so I could have a stock port map to compare against this ported cylinder. So I guess I could run that or try to find something else online. I'm going to have to think on it for a while. I'm not really sure. But this is where we're going to stop for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciated all the new subscribers and the kind words from the last video. And I'm still trying to get the hang of making these videos, so any feedback is appreciated, and I'd love it if you guys could give me your thoughts in the comments. But I've got to get all this stuff packed up so I can get it sent out, so we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.